let's just sew whatever.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making the small Louie waist bag with some modifications. This pattern is from UhOh Creations and I have made several of the size small, this being my first modified one, and I think it turned out pretty cute. I do have a cutting live video on how I cut it out if you want to check that out. Otherwise, all the materials used are from Mormino.com, which is my website, if you didn't know. And I thank you so much for watching. I am going to get started by adding 2 interior clear card slots. I cut these to 2 inches tall, 4 inches wide, and I'm just going to be stitching down the bottom. I am using my pink Juki today. I sat down and I was like, you know what? I just want to use it. I just love it, and I never use it. Not never use it, but I don't often use it in videos. I'm like, you know what, just do it. So I found the center of this panel, measured 1.75 inches down from the top edge. And that is where I laid my first card slot into place. And now I am going to be placing this one right over top the other one, 1/2 inch from the top edge of the other one. So that they just slightly offset each other. Back stitching those into place, and then sewing up the side. Forgot this one has a needle positioner. Always trips me up. Pulling my threads to the back. And I could tie them off later if I wanted to. Maybe I don't want to, you know? Alrighty. I am using Under the Sea variegated thread from geekyhardware.com, Wizardry Stitchery and Crafts. And so this part is not part of the pattern, it's just a little hack that I decided to add on. And Tara from UhOh Creations, who is the designer, she does have a blog tutorial that shows you how to like piece card slots all the way down this panel out of like a regular cotton fabric. So there's that piece done. Now I'm going to move on to the second hack after I top stitch this in place. These were just some scraps I had left over that fit so perfectly, so I decided to put them together, and here we are. I'll figure it out in the end. Okay, so those are my linings. We're going to need a strip of zipper tape for this. That is some amount long. So I'm laying my pieces together and I'm laying my zipper down. I'm giving myself a 1/2 inch seam allowance on either side, cutting the zipper tape, and then we'll add a zipper pull. Normally I do like to use a jig for this, but I'm like, why not? There we go. And then I'll take my lighter, just to quickly melt that. And then zipper tabs will be attached right side down over the zipper tape. Again, this is not part of the pattern at all. This is just Lauren doing what she does best and not following the directions. Okay. And then I'm going to open that up and top stitch across. So we're top stitching right across that folded edge to seal that off. And if you have a problem with it being unlined there, then you may want to add a second piece, but I also don't want to bulk it up too much by adding more fabric. So I'm keeping it pretty minimal. There are some good techniques from Knotted Threads Co. for reducing bulk in situations like that, if you want to read her patterns over and see if there's anything that might apply. So I'm laying this into place. It's a little off on one side, but not by enough for me to really care. And now, since this is the bottom front, we're going to use the shorter piece and just center that over all of that, right sides together. We do need to sew all the way across, and I'm going to do my best to do a 3/8 inch, but I do not have a skinny foot on this machine, so we're just going to see what happens. Keep the zipper out of the way. And stay consistent. Oh, all right, bobbin. Dang. Oh, wait, what happened? Oh, just got caught weird. Don't do that. So now we're going to press that down and press that forward. And I'm going to top stitch all the way across. And we'll add the back lining. And we're going to end up having to trim some of that off anyway. But cute for now. Because we do not want it to be within the seam allowance of the bottom, since we're going to try to turn the bag through this. And this is where it would have been nice to tape it, and I just didn't. It's fine. And that's just so your zipper doesn't get wonky. However, we are going to be cutting this piece in the end, so we'll be okay. All right, so we'll sew across that top little section. So I'm going to sew across as much of this as I can down here at the bottom to close that up. And I'm tapering as I sew that down. So I'm going to go from this side, kind of sewing that at a bit of a curve to help reduce bulk when we turn this through. And then when you're going back up, just make sure that you don't catch your exterior fabric, because it'll be on the fold and it'll look funky. So that'll be our little front pocket that we'll turn the bag through in a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and trim that down. And the main reason for doing that little curve is so that the excess bulk has a place to be. So that'll be my front. Yeah, we're gonna turn the bag through that opening so I don't need to bind it. Okay, noted. Come on. Honestly, this machine could probably use a little oil. So there's my front panel done, and now we're going to repeat those steps without the zipper tabs onto the back side, and we can just leave all of the lining pieces together because they're going to get basted into the seam. The back is finished off with binding, and I'm okay with keeping it that way. I think it adds a little extra structure to the back as well. All right. I am so not used to this work area. All right, so the two pieces that are the same height will be going together, right sides together. And I like to cut my zipper tape just to be a little bit longer so that my zipper pull can be out of the way. If you have trouble lifting up double-sided tape, make sure you really press down on one corner and then try to peel the fabric away from the paper versus trying to peel the paper away. I know, it can get a little tricky. All right, as close to a 3/8 as you can. I'm going to open that, press, and top stitch. And we'll add the top to to this. And this is where I would say if you don't want to add lining to your bag, you really don't have to. Because you're going to be adding your main lining piece too. So if your fabric doesn't have an ugly wrong side, yeah, you could. If you're like everything together is too bulky or something like that, you could potentially omit it if you wanted. Ooh. All right. So there's that, and now I'm going to grab one of those lining pieces. I'll go ahead and cut my centers. And then, yeah, you can either use your template piece or you can just use this piece. It's the back. It's not going to be the end of the world. Just make sure that your zipper pull is out of the way. Obviously, you can't see the other one of the sides as you're sewing it together. So I'm going to have my exterior face down and my interior face up so that I can just trace it to baste it all together. I think I need to just change my needle too. Okay, and then we can just trim all of that away. Oh, it's so cute. I'm excited. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just trim over a trash can. Now I'm gonna trim down my exterior. I am not sewing these right sides together. You can if you want. I am not. Or I'm sorry, wrong sides together. Because the whole point of adding that front pocket was to turn it through the front pocket and prevent having to leave like a turn hole, etc. So yeah, just tracing around that, and I'm going to cut it out. Just moving the trash can over here. Just be careful not to cut through any stitches that we might not be able to get back. It's so cute. Okay. So now that we have interior, exterior Interior and exterior done. We can work on our gusset piece and then our flanges. So I'm going to cut my zipper tape a little longer than it needs to be. And then we'll add our 2 zipper pulls. I do have a hard time adding double zipper pulls without the zipper jig, at least for them to be like absolutely perfect, but I do try. So I'm gonna try. And so I'm starting one side in, holding it with my thumb, lifting up on the side that I already put in, and you have to hold it out at an angle and just making sure that I'm watching the bottom edge of the zipper tape so that they're lined up when I put it on. So, hey, I did it. Cool. I like to have 2 zipper pulls for this portion because I think it looks nice. And then it doesn't matter which direction you zip it in. It's always going to be good. And then as I'm placing the zipper tape, I'm really taking care to not stretch it, but I am applying just a little bit of pressure as I place it. If you're doing the zipper gusset hack that I am doing, you will have a piece that is the same length and will end up being the same width in the end, but this piece here is 1 1/4 inches, and then this is whatever the difference of that is. We're going to sew this together with as close to a 3/8 inch as we can. I did wind a fresh bobbin, but I think you can finish this small size bag easily with just 1 bobbin. Right, so I'm going to press this. I mentioned in my cutting video that you would have enough room to add your binding with this size gusset, but I forgot I'm not binding the front side, so I guess it doesn't matter. This is my first time doing a gusset like this on this bag. Normally, when I've made them, aside from doing the clear version, I'm pretty sure I followed the directions for the most part. Okay, just making sure the stitches still look good, and they do. All right. And so this is the quote-unquote back side of the zipper panel. Lining that up, and I'm making sure not to stretch the vinyl or the zipper tape as I do that. This vinyl does have a teeny tiny bit of stretch. And I did cut my lining panels like wider by maybe 1/4 inch. Yeah, wider. I didn't add to the length, I added to the width. Just so when I fold it over, any excess bulk won't differ the size of it. Again, as close to a 3/8 inch as you can. And I am not watching the needle as I'm sewing. I'm watching the edge of the foot in comparison to the edge of the fabric. And if you have a seam guide on your machine, then you'd want to watch the edge of your fabric to your seam guide. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a little bit wider, but again, I'm going to trim that down. Not concerned with it. just separating those layers as I go. And then if you wanted to, you can baste all 4 sides. I am at least going to baste this side. Stay stitch, baste, whatever you'd like to call it. Just so I can cut that excess off of my lining. Yeah, I may as well do this side too. Okay, I'll trim that off. I don't trim my zipper tape all the way down though. I like to leave just a little bit out into my seam. And just a gentle melt will do. All right. Right sides together. Oh, it's a perfect fit. Just gonna baste at an 1/8. Keep from shifting. Right sides together. And then repeat that to add the lining. So my exteriors are touching right sides together, and now my linings are touching right sides together. And I believe this is a 1/4. I'm doing a scant 1/4. I don't know why my phone is sitting there. Don't need it. Okay, and then you're gonna move your zipper panel kind of out of the way, bunch things together, which is why it's nice to baste it. And again, that scant 1/4 maybe. Right. And now I'm just gonna top stitch through the exterior, not the lining, so that if I have any bulk lining for some reason, I can distribute the lining evenly into either direction, kind of hide it. All right, looks good. We'll go ahead and continue that stay stitching across the lining, and I'm just pulling on all of that. It scared me. Keep it from shifting. So excited. This is quite a large gusset, like a lot of zipper up top. I'll clip that together, make sure it stays, and fold and snip my centers. We're going to start with the front, which is our piece. For me, it's the piece with zipper tabs. No. I'm going to finish my flanges and get those placed first. Go ahead and snip my centers here. One of these gets sewn without any webbing to start. I'm gonna do that one first. Oh crap, I forgot to grab, oh, it's right there, the slide adjuster. You have to be really careful about which one of these goes on which side. And I am starting with the insertion buckle portion. I don't know how else to call that. The receiving buckle. Made it weird. Maybe. All right. And I'm going to top stitch around that. Without anything first. All right, and then if your print is directional, you want to grab your back panel and imagine whatever is face up is what's going to be pointing out. You're gonna like reverse engineer that seam. So that is what that will look like. So if I want this to be on this side, this is what's getting sewn down. And you can also add your little D-ring to this portion as well. And I will be, but I'm gonna sew this on first. I feel pretty good about that. Okay, and then I'm not gonna be able to back stitch easily, or I'm sorry, I won't be able to just pivot that easily because of the plastic. So I did a couple back stitches first, and then I'm continuing to go forward. I messed it up a little bit, but that's okay. So now I'm gonna add this over top of that. This is gonna be really bulky, but I did fold it so that there is less bulk underneath. And then I'm gonna top stitch as best as I can on the printed fabric. Not the solid vinyl. Oh, it's thick. I should have done the backup thing there, but it did still work. So, okay. It's just a lot going on. And then this is going to get sewn right over top of where our zipper is. And what you want facing out is what's facing up. And you want quite a bit of that webbing into the seam. Make sure it's nice and straight. And you'll have less risk of it coming out over time. And now right now you might be thinking, well, like I need to reduce bulk in the curve, and you still can without cutting your webbing. I think you could even sew like a little piece of fabric over that if you wanted, but I think making sure it's melted, leaving quite a bit within your seam, and not using polypropylene, because I've had no luck with polypropylene. I feel like it just shreds like crazy. Yeah, if it works for you, I'm sorry. And you can sew around that twice, 1 1/4, 1 1/8, if you'd like. Just the once is good. And then we really don't need to add anything to this right now. You could complete the strap if you wanted, but we'll just face up, whatever side you want face up. I mean, really, you have no choice for this one. Once you've picked one. Okay, that is our back panel. Like I said, if you want to finish this, we can. We're going to add our slide adjuster face up. There's a little bit of an arc to it, so add that face up. Then we'll add our other hook. It's arching down. Slide that under. Nope, messed myself up. Under. And then over and under your slide one more time. And then if you, it's best honestly to just clip it together right now, because in the end, maybe we've gotten this messed up. I don't think so. Ah, my clip is somehow upside down. So let me fix that now, or it'll piss me off. It'll still work. But yeah, you want it arching down. There we go. I made a whole bunch of these not really knowing which way was which, and they still buckle just fine. It just doesn't look as good. And then I like to fold my webbing over on itself, so we've got a nice clean edge, no raw edge there. And again, just test that everything fits nicely, and we'll sew that later. We'll keep that all together for now. All right, exterior front. Right sides together. And what I want to do first is baste the top center marks. And then repeat that with the bottom. Your exterior should be right sides together. And make sure your zipper pocket lining is out of the way if you're doing this little hack version. Okay, lining up those centers. Okay. Got those little pieces together. And now we're going to clip the rest. I'm going to add some little snips within my stitch line along that top curve. And the bottom curve. I'm gonna need my little clip bowl from my friend Shannon. Okay, and again, this zipper pocket, just make sure it's out of the way as you're clipping. And I like to press my fabrics together over the edge of my table so that I can clip this on. Things feel pretty good. I might try to line up the top edge better. And so we're just going to sew at 1/4 inch all of that together for now until we add the other side. Do not sew through that pocket. And then I'm going to use my screwdriver here just to help me hold the fabrics together along the curves. And of course, the materials you choose are going to determine if this is easier or harder for you. Keep that zipper pocket out of the way, edges lined up. Super cute. Now comes the fun part. I want to make sure we've got our zipper pocket unzipped. Yes. And then right sides together. This is going to be really tricky because you've got a lot of bulk in there. So you're going to have to go slow. You might have to take separate trips around. And I'm clipping it to the front side so that I can sew just slightly past our basting, our first line of stitching. My zipper is unzipped. I just find it's easier to maneuver all this. This would have been a lot easier to do on the medium size. I'm going to start over here on the side. And then if you wanted to top stitch this, I think you still could. But like I don't want to. I don't want to do that. And then make sure you don't catch the foot on any of your seams. Okay. Whew. Deep breath. We did it. And the back side is much easier because we're just going to finish that off with a little bit of binding. I am trimming the excess in the corners. Not trimming the excess anywhere else. All right. Starting with a bottom corner. Make sure you pull all of those seams to separate it. Yeah, I can't top stitch through this. There's no way. But it's still super, super cute. So I'm just pressing and pulling. And we're gonna grab our lining here and sew that shut. Making sure your zipper panel is out of the way. Oh yeah, much better. It's really cute. It does give it like a completely different shape without that flange too, because that flange just makes it so it's like, and then you've got your zipper there. But I'm enjoying this. Okay. So we're gonna flip that. And now right sides together and then bind it and we're done. We're diggity, diggity done. Okay, finding my centers, line those up first. And I'll definitely be, again, doing those quick little stay stitches once I know where everything is meant to go. Right sides are together. I'm gonna sew it at 1/4 of an inch and then add my binding at 3/8, give or take. And then it's gonna be up to you which direction you sew this in. I'm gonna try it in the round, see what happens. And so I'm kind of pinching the bag to fit the shape of the gusset, and my excess is being pushed in to those corners. Kind of the opposite of what I thought I was going to do, but it might work. Ooh, we're going to struggle with that bulk with the little tab attachment. My regular Juki would be fine, but this pink one, I think the motor just isn't quite as strong, but I could be making that up. But I feel like it just struggles, and my other machine's like, oh, okay, let's do it. I'm gonna grab my binding super quick. Oh, I did not add any basting stitching. All right then. Leave it on the wild side. All right, so as I come across to this curve, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna rearrange. I'm using my screwdriver to help me keep my layers from shifting. This is the thicker flange, so hopefully I don't break a needle. Just going slow. think I'm gonna bind this with my cylinder arm just for funsies. Just because, like, why not use yet another machine I hardly ever get to use. Okay, so as I come across the bottom, I wasn't ready to take out those clips. Baby, come back. Activate monkey toes. Go. Now, if things are uneven, you could trim it up in the corners. Otherwise, I think we're pretty good. I'm going to switch my bobbin and rethread my cylinder arm, and that is where we will finish off this cute little bag. So it's easiest for me to do this while it's in my lap, so I apologize if you can't really see. But I've bound a million bags in videos. And so taping it is not keeping it completely in place. It might be able to, but I'm still adding clips as I go. And if you are in the market for a machine, there are tons of attachments for cylinder arms nowadays, different tables you can get, all kinds of things that make it honestly a pretty good option for your first and only industrial, unless you are someone who does a lot of production sewing, and then you may want a flatbed machine and a cylinder arm. But yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do my best. There is no seam guide for this machine, so I'm just gonna follow as best I can the inside edge of my foot on that binding. Hold your threads when you start, so I've got them in my hand along with my projects. Turn the machine on. That would help a lot. Turn that on. What? Oh, it's not plugged in. And now this machine does have a knob at the top that controls how well it sews through thicker parts and goes over humps in the fabrics. Built-in hump jumper. Beautiful. Now I'll pull my threads, tie them off maybe. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Oh yeah, we've got one little spot to finish sewing. I'm just turning the bag. So cute. So there's that inside pocket there, but we've got to sew around here. So only sew what is clipped together and test it first if you need to. And here is our completed Louie, modified to have a full gusset and this cute little front zipper pocket and clear card slots right there when you open it. So you can see both cards. You can have your most important credit card and your ID there for when you're traveling, something like that, and just have everything super quick. And then we added that little extra little D-ring there. There's my tag. Not too bad. And then the zipper is on the back as well. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, be sure to give it a like, comment down below, and let me know if you enjoyed seeing me use the other machines that I have here and don't get a chance to use. Let me know too, and I will see you all later. Bye.